Is that you, Murray? Is that you, Murray? Hello. Hi, Murray. Hello, hello. Is that you, Murray? I'm just going to change you. Hang on.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very great, thanks. I've just got to
That's good.
change you to a co-host, which I've just done. So that's all good. I haven't
I,
seen you or talked to you in ages, like
I
forever.
know. Well, things are awfully strange.
Things are awfully strange. That's very true. How are you coping with the strangeness?
I'm good at the moment. I have had my emotional ups and downs, but I feel really good. I've been through the emotions of change and loss of work and impacting life. And I watched the little video of one of the air stewardesses on Virgin when she was flying back to New Zealand for the last flight, and she was talking and I was crying. So I felt everything. Michelle?
Yeah, it's certainly that kind of a time, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I'm doing a bunch of Zoom stuff with some clients, and I'm getting busy again, which is really cool. And pivoting online, which is awesome.
I think it's taken clients a little while to get their head around the idea as well, but as they are, they're more and more open to it.
It's funny. I was talking to one of our fellow facilitators the other day, a guy in Sydney that I know, and we're both agreeing that things are not going to go back to the way they were. And even, what does this mean? Where previously we might have done like a face-to-face session. Now it's the whole blended online and face-to-face, or just, whatever it is.
There's so many more options, I think. And
yeah.
that can only be a good thing because it can only lead to more effectiveness. But and really, I think it's just pushed the majority of us 5 or 10 years ahead of where we should have actually been anyway.
I agree.
So yeah, it's interesting.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks.
Yeah.
Putting lots of energy into our Superhuman Summit and getting some great feedback, and we've got a lineup of speakers that want to speak and we can't fit any more in, so it's all good.
You might be doing another one.
We might be doing another one. We're just talking at the moment what we're going to do like next is off the back of this, so we haven't got any specific plans yet, but we've got some ideas of things where this could go. So, and because AJ and I are writing a book together, this is already the two kind of go together. So in many ways it worked out as just the right thing to do at the right time, which is fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. And I love, and well done on pulling this together, because I know that it's taken a lot, but awesome.
Thank you. So it'll be pretty straightforward this morning. I'll just give you a brief intro and hand it over to you. I'll do all the monitoring of the questions and everything, so you don't have to worry about that. And we'll, as you said, we'll play it by ear, but if it seems like a good time for me to ask you a question, you know, while you're in the middle of talking about a relevant topic, I'll drop the question in. Otherwise, we'll deal with the questions at the end. I'll also give you in terms of timing, I'll give you a 5-minute message. So there's a way I can private message you.
Yep.
So I'll let you know that there's 5 minutes to go. But the absolute wrap up, today we've got 3 bang, bang, bang straight in a row. So we can't afford to go over on any of them because it'll push, you know, the third one out.
Yep.
So the absolute wrap up time is 9:50.
No worries. And that's fine. I've got, I'm going to go and provide value with a bit of speed and a bit of fun. So I've got a few things in here. How many people you've been getting on these?
I have no idea because I don't have oversight to the Zoom registrations. So we've got 2 systems of people getting on, people that have registered specifically for your talk that'll get the Zoom link and then they can see the replay. And then we've got people who are inside the Facebook group that just happen to see you when you're, live streamed into the group, because we'll live stream you into the group at the same time.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to share some slides. I've got a presentation to share.
Cool. I know how to do that. You know how you share your screen and everything?
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, perfect.
So, and I've got some interaction parts. So we'll see if that happens or not. Hopefully it does.
Yeah. Okay. We'll play it by ear. What I can tell you is when I start to share you in the Facebook group, which I'll start to do in a minute, you always go live earlier in the Facebook group than what you think. So that's why if you watched any of them yesterday, you will have seen that AJ was chatting away to Charlotta and stuff when it actually went live. So just so that you know ahead of time.
Yeah. I've been caught out by that before.
Yes, I have too.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, 3 participants. How can there be 3 unless AJ's jumped on in the background?
I saw that, yeah.
Just work that out because someone did.
A Galaxy tab, it says, as attendee.
I think we're being Zoom bombed, you know, because before you got on, I sent you a text.
Yeah.
And I said, are you Nokia 4.2?
Oh, yeah. I saw that. No, I'm not. Sorry.
Because a Nokia 4.2 got on. Anyway, I'll just ignore those participants because I only know that I need to let you and I in. So I'll just ignore that they're there.
So the Galaxy tab that's in there now, should we keep them in or should we kick them out?
I don't know how to kick them out. And they're actually not showing on my screen as, like, they can be an attendee. Oh, maybe they're just attendees that have jumped on early.
Possibly.
And that's probably what it is. They're probably just attendees that have jumped on early. That'll be it.
And they can hear what we're talking about now.
Probably. So hi.
Hi.
While we're trying to work out who you are. Okay, let's get you live streamed.
I've got COVID hair. It's getting really long. Look at that.
Oh, I love it. COVID.
I get confused which way it goes now.
I think COVID hair goes any which way, doesn't it?
Because I've turned my mirroring off so you can read my shirt. Now I'm all confused.
Yeah, I get confused because sometimes it seems like it corrects it and sometimes
we've got a chat happening.
We're just going into the live stream now.
Galaxy tab jumped on 5 minutes early. Be ready. Awesome. Great to have you.
Fantastic. Okay. One more thing.
Who would have thought that we would have been doing this? And isn't it awesome? We are so great for AJ and Michelle to be doing this.
So great for everyone involved, and it's everyone's generosity that's allowed us to do it, actually. Okay, I'll just click to go live.
And what's the time? We are 3 minutes to launch. 3 minutes to launch. Look at that. We are organised.
Oh, and you're sharing your screen already. I love it.
I'm a little prepared.
You are very prepared. I like to see that. So I'm thinking we're live in the group already, even though it hasn't come up on, it's come up on my phone screen, but not my Facebook screen on my computer.
Gotcha.
So let's go ahead and launch into it. Massive hello for those of you who are early birds. You have been rewarded because it is official. We are 3 minutes early, and AJ will be laughing to herself right now because she will expect that certainly from me and probably from Murray. So before any further ado, I'd love to be able to introduce Murray Guest to you. So Murray Guest is a lovely human for lots of reasons. He runs a consulting business called Inspire My Business and spends a lot of his time working with individuals, teams and organisations around all things to do with strengths and building human capability and capacity. And when we were thinking about this summit, Murray, you're definitely one of the first people that came to mind in terms of people who work in an everyday way to help unlock other people's superpowers. So we were very excited when you came back, and the three things in your overview that really stuck out to me were that you want to be talking about getting in flow, being at your best, and being action focused. So I, for one, am very excited to hear your talk on unlocking your superpowers through your strengths. And I shall hand it over to you. Go for it.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for reminding me about what I said. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Thank you. And it's great to have a couple of people on early. I love how your strengths and talents are showing already about being organised and being here. Michelle and my talents are definitely shining this morning of being organised and set up. I am excited to be here, and I think this summit is such a great idea for all these speakers to share what it means to be superhuman and to tap into that. I've known Michelle for many years, the same as AJ, awesome people, and thank you again for having me. I am looking forward to helping you understand this whole concept about your strengths, and there's stacks of stuff out there about your strengths and why you should focus on your strengths. I want to give you my personal perspective and how I've helped about 2,000 people over the last 5 years tap into their superpowers through their strengths. So good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Thank you. And it's great to have a couple of people on and how I've helped about 2,000 people over the last 5 years tap into their superpowers through their strengths. So good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Thank you. Michelle, we've got a loop. I'm hearing myself.
Okay.
And how I've helped about 2,000. And I didn't know I sounded that bad.
You do. Is that better?
Yes, I was hearing myself again, which is exciting, but we've fixed that. Hi, AJ. Yes, we can hear me now, and we've now fixed that. Awesome work. So here we go. So you might be all wondering, what is this all about? So let's have a look. So there is the science of strength behind what I'm talking about, and there's lots of data for all you data nerds out there about why we should even focus on our strengths. And from the work of Don Clifton, and I am a Gallup certified Clifton Strengths coach. So I use the Clifton Strengths assessment with individuals, with teams, with organizations, day in, day out. And it's a powerful tool to help people unlocking their strengths. However, in today's session, I'm not going to get you to do that assessment because it's 177 questions and takes a lot of time online, but I want to give you some tips around how you can tap into being your best self and actually identifying those talents and strengths. Now, as I was saying, for the data nerds and those people that love information and the why and how we got to this place of focusing on strengths. Don Clifton was driven by a question of what will happen when we focus on what's right with people rather than what's wrong with them, and fixating on what's wrong with them. That drove him to invest over 5 decades of research, tens of thousands of interviews, over 1 million work teams studied, and over 23 million people have now completed that assessment that I just mentioned. It is now used by over 80,000 organizations around the globe. And I think it's about 26 languages. So it's certainly there. And I could give you lots more data. I'm going to give you a couple of bits, but I actually am more inspired and more honestly uplifted about those superpowers when I hear of the heart stories, those stories of people and how it makes them feel and how it projects them in a different way. And for me personally, knowing my strengths 8 years ago and what that meant to me from an approach to life and approach to my relationships and the way I do my work, the way I run my business, the way I work with my clients, it certainly gave me that sort of superpower feeling about, okay, how can I be more of myself and propel myself forward with confidence, without arrogance, and with a deep inside knowing. And that's what I feel like knowing your strengths is all about. I'm not a big data person, to be honest. I love the numbers to share with people that love it, that are high, maybe in one of those analytical strengths. But for me, it's definitely about the heart feeling. Some of the conversations I've had with people, I've had conversations with people where they said, I've actually got to know myself deeper. I have got more confidence, and I've actually let go of some of that feedback I got from managers or partners in the past. And I'm starting to tap into those talents and strengths that make me me. That excites me. That lifts me up. That inspires me. So this is all about when you do an assessment or you take some time to identify when you're at your best, cracking open those talents of who you are, what makes you you. I think quite often in life, we see these sports people that are at the absolute top of their game, at peak performance in tennis or golf or swimming or whatever it might be. And we celebrate them. We look up to them. They get paid lots of money and they have millions of fans. But you know what? This goes far beyond just sport. This is about all those other talents we have, which help us be us, which taps into that superpower, that superhuman feeling to be at our best and to soar. I would like us all to feel like that, like these people that are at the top of their game and cracking open those talents and really tapping into it. Claire's got a comment there about how many have joined the presentation. Michelle, we've got a few on at the moment, and I know we've got a few on in the Facebook group, and I'm sure we'll get a few more as we go along.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting more and more as you're speaking. So anyone who is live in the Superhuman Summit, just check right in. And anyone else who has booked ahead of time through the Zoom, you'll get the Zoom link. It'll be in your emails.
And Sarah's raised her hand. Great to see you, Sarah. Thanks for joining us. I'm a superhero fan. Michelle, I don't know about you, but I do love movies and I do love the superhero movies. Not a big comic person. I wasn't into reading comics as a child, but I do love the superhero movies.
It's live in the Superhuman Summit. Just check right in. And anyone else who has booked ahead of time through the Zoom, you'll get the Zoom link. It'll be in your email.
Awesome, Michelle, for getting everyone on board. Now, here we've got a whole bunch of superhero icons. You might recognize some of those. On our top left, we might have some Wonder Woman fans on today. My favorite actually is Captain America over on the right. We've got Batman and Spider-Man and Flash. This is our Superhuman Summit. And I was thinking about strengths, superhuman, and how these superheroes have unlocked their superpowers. Now, I'm not saying once you get your strengths, you can go and jump off a tall building, break through glass and do all those crazy things and run 1,000,000 miles an hour. But I like us to think about that feeling of complete, power inside of us, deep inside of us, when we have tapped into those strengths. and that feeling of moving forward with clarity and at our best. And I believe that's what we can get when we understand what are those natural talents and gifts that we have, how we can develop those into deeper strengths and be at our best. And I want you to think also about these superheroes. A lot of them have partners, a lot of them have teams, and that's really important because we aren't just superheroes and unlocking that superhuman potential by ourselves. It's about those partnerships that we form with other people to be at our best. So we're going to explore that a bit more too as we go along. So I truly believe that through knowing your strengths, you can soar. My personal story is I knew my strengths, my top 5 strengths through the Clifton Strengths framework 8 years ago, and then unlocked my full 34 information about 3 years later. And what I have discovered about myself is when I'm at my best, when I'm at my worst, when I'm not in flow, but how I can truly soar by focusing on what makes me me and not trying to be well-rounded in other things. There are some literature out there. There are some stories, some articles out there about how focusing on our strengths might limit us. And I just want to put it out there that yes, we want to know our strengths, but also we've got to manage our weaknesses. We've got to know what holds us back. And interestingly, for some people listening today, a perspective I love sharing is our strengths can also be our greatest weakness. So this might not surprise some people, won't surprise Michelle and AJ. I love talking. I'm a talker. I run workshops. I coach people. I love talking through ideas.
We all have that in common.
We do. I also know that my grandfather said that I could talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles. I could also get in trouble all the time at school. I could not shut up in class and rush my work to talk to other students, and that would get me into trouble. I can also reflect on previous partners when I would get kicked under the table for talking too much at a dinner party. True story. But what I know is that my strength is the talking part. I love to talk, but also I've got to manage that. Superman has his kryptonite. We all have that thing that maybe we shouldn't play with too much and push it too far. This is about knowing your strengths and consciously applying them to be at your best. Absolutely. Superman could fly through. Yes, Michelle?
Can I just encourage people as you're going through the presentation, Murray, if you're just making a comment on what Murray's saying, that's great. Do it through the chat exactly how you are. We're getting a few people agreeing with what you're saying and emphasizing different points, which is fantastic. If you have a specific question that you would like me to put to Murray, please put it into the question and answer tab rather than the chat tab. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Please, everyone, I encourage you, as Michelle just said, put any questions in there. I can get really passionate. My communication is going to go blah, 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 and talk lots and lots. And if you've got a question or if something I'm saying is landing with you, please throw that in the chat. My personal story, I hope it connects with you because it's helped me be me. It also helps me understand when I'm not me, when actually I'm not at my best. But as I was about to say, Superman could fly through all the buildings around the world and cause destruction. He's got to manage his strengths. And yes, he's a fictitious character, but you know what? As I said, I love superheroes. So let's just think about how when we tap into those superhuman strengths, that we are at our best and we consciously apply those in what we're doing, with the tasks we're doing, the relationships we're having, and how we're showing up day in, day out. So as I'm saying this, if anyone's got a thought on maybe what they think one of their superpowers might be, please throw it in the chat. I'd love to see what they are. If you've got a superpower, like I just said, I love to talk through, I'm happy talking in front of groups, whereas a lot of people say, hey, public speaking's more fear than death. Throw me out there, I'm happy to do that. Yes, I get nervous, but I love doing it. What's one of your superpowers? I'd love to see it in the chat. Please put it in there now and just to share it. Because when we put it out there and we verbalize it, helps us tap into it. So love to see a couple of those coming in on the chat. Nicole.
Yeah, sorry, I beat you to it.
We've got creativity. AJ loves to shine the spotlight on others. Love that. Passion and vision from Sarah. Curiosity from Claire. Love that too. Yeah. And I love how these words are like hey, Tori, superpower, working well under pressure. Great to see you. I think sometimes we can think these words just label someone of, oh, so Claire's curious or Nicole's creative. Actually, I love that it's actually just the start of getting to know a person and unlocking that. I think it's about, this is just like the doorway. So with strengths, it's actually a step into, what does this really look like for you? So I love the ability to start to explore your strengths at an individual level, not just, hey, you're creative, tick the box. Creativity, what does that look like for you? How does it show up in your life? How does that help you be your best? How does that help you soar and apply and achieve your goals? Overcome your challenges. What does that look like? Oh, Renee, I love hashtag individualization. That is my number 3. And I love my individualization, love all my top strengths that I know to help me be me. And I love your definition there. It does help you, I'm sure, see the uniqueness of others. But as I was just saying, I actually want to know more about that. How does that look for you? And this is the language of strengths that helps us really get to know each other. Now, a couple of things that you might think, well, what does that really mean? Again, a bit for those data people on, from the research of Gallup, from the work of Don Clifton, people that get to focus on their strengths, be at their best, show up every day, you have a chance to have 3 times more an excellent quality of life. That's what the research shows. And we could unpack, what does the quality of life look like?
Can I just jump in there? Because I want to ask a question about that. Just say that again, because to me, that's quite an important point for people to get their head around. You just kind of rattled it off, but just say it again, and let's think about the implications of that for a second, because that's pretty huge, what you just mentioned.
So people who focus on their strengths report having 3 times more an excellent quality of life. So what that means is, if we think about quality of life, so the way you live, the interactions you have, the work you're doing, your livelihood, how you're feeling, all these measures that make up what we could deem a quality of life. When we focus on our strengths, there's 3 times more likelihood of that happening. That's powerful, isn't it, Michelle?
Yeah, it's huge to me. And it's not such a difficult thing to do when you think about it.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing. So we can think about, I want to improve my life. I want to improve how I feel. I want to improve those interactions. I want to improve my energy when I jump out of bed. Just by knowing our strengths, embracing those, consciously applying them, we're jumping up that quality of life 3 times. I find that, honestly, that lifts me up, that thinking about that. It's one of those things which is, as you say, it's a chance for us to soar, but it's also not too far out of our reach. Next one I'd love to share is people that get to focus on their strengths in their day-to-day jobs, whether you are an employee or run your own business, whatever that might look like. Research again shows you are 6 times more engaged in your role, in your job. Now, engagement is all about when you turn up day in, day out, you love what you do, you connect with your team members, that you feel more in flow, that you more creative, more innovative, and you're treating your customers better. You're going home just as energized as when you came to work. Not the thank God it's Friday, you know, Michelle, it's thank God it's Monday.
Thank God it's every day.
Yes. It's funny, I've said TGIM instead of TGIF to a few teams over the years, and they look at me like I've got 2 heads, but honestly, that's where I'd love people to be. TGI every day. I like that too. So if we get a chance to use our strengths, we're more engaged in our jobs. So I'd say we're more engaged in all the relationships in our life as well. So if we've got a partner or if we're a parent or with our friends, we're getting to be ourselves. It's funny, I remember a conversation I had with my middle child back when he was year 6. This is going back a bit. And he went away for a school camp. And it was one of those school camps where all the kids are hanging out together for 3 days. And while he's away, he had that realization where he was trying to make all the other kids laugh all the time, and he wasn't being himself. And he actually, when he got back, you could see he was out of sorts. He was out of alignment. And I would love to know, as I just tell the story, if anyone can give me a why in the chat that they understand what this feels like. When you just feel like you're not yourself, like you haven't been in integrity with yourself, you haven't been in alignment with who you are, I would say you haven't been living with your strengths or your values. So he's come back from this camp and he was feeling that. And so he actually said to me, I need to apologize to my friends. And he had tears in his eyes because he was trying to be someone else. And it was one of those moments where I'm so proud he had a breakthrough moment so young in his life. And he realized this is not him. So I would say he was not in line with his strengths and he was not engaged with what he was doing. And he was out of complete alignment. And what he realized was he's trying to be someone else. So my link here is when you understand your strengths and when you apply them, you're more yourself and you're in that alignment. Last one, just another stat I love to share. From the research of Gallup, if you get to focus on your strengths, you're 18% great. You're more likely to have about 18% greater performance in your work. Now, if you think about that from a company point of view, companies are saying, woohoo, if all we need to do is get people to focus on strengths, we can improve performance. But think about this from you on a personal level. If I'm getting to approach what it is that I love to do, to be at my best, to achieve my goals, to overcome my challenges, there's 18% more performance that you can tap into through your strengths. So these are some of those heartfelt comments I've heard over the years that I love to share with people. I know me more deeper. I'm in a state of flow now and I get to use my strengths. I feel more focused. I feel more confident. I understand others, so I know how to approach them. And I feel like I'm vibrating at a higher level. And AJ, this is something which I know lifts you up, inspires when you talk about people vibrating at a high level. It's that energy we give off when we are in line with our strengths and getting to show up like that. And when I see these statements and I think about the people that have shared that with me over the years, it's very much, this is the heart stories of what it means to tap into our strengths and tap into those superpowers.
And can I just clarify something there? Because what's really interesting to me is you can tell when someone's in this kind of a space, and you can tell when they're on this upward spiral, for want of a better description. Everything in their life seems to be working more functionally, etc. I think that one of the things that you're bringing that's so valuable is an understanding of how to do it, how to tap into that, how to get there through your strengths. This is my question that I'd love you to address. In organizations, when you write position descriptions and you try to squeeze a human being into that position description, it is not always going to fit your strengths. What do you do if you find out that the role that you're in is completely incompatible with your strengths?
Michelle, that is a conversation I've had over the years with individuals and also with leaders who are leading people that feel they've got that. So what we're going to do now is cancel the next session. So I've got 2 hours, okay? So we can unpack this.
I get your point.
No, well, it's such a big question, and I find it so important. I think it's actually understanding, it's that awareness of where what I'm doing in my role, and does it connect with my strengths. That's the first thing. Second thing is, okay, how do I get to use my strengths in my role? People sometimes aren't even aware of that. And how can I apply my strengths to complete what's the expectations of the job versus a old-fashioned job description which says everyone has to do the job the exact same way? That's not a strengths-based approach, let's be honest. That's saying we're all robots, out you that go do all your jobs in the factory and then go home. And the factory might be an office, let's be honest. So a strengths-based culture is getting people to use their strengths and apply those strengths in the work and the tasks that they do to be at their best. You also might find out there's some parts of your role that don't align with your strengths, and then we're tapping back into those partnerships. So who else are you partnering with or who you're not?
And I guess that's where the effectiveness of teams comes into the equation, is connecting up.
Yes, and the last bit I'd love to add is, you know what, it's not an excuse. Sometimes there's some parts of our role, of our life, of things we need to do that, yes, we want, I'm talking about soaring, superhero, let's go. But, you know, to get to that point, and as you said, to spiral up, there may be some things that we just need to do right now, which are part of our role or the way that we need to work that aren't completely aligned, but now I've got that awareness. And so with that awareness, I'm mindful that I might be procrastinating, putting things off. So I need to apply myself a bit harder at those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Participants, we're going to do something pretty cool and quite quickly here. I want to see a Y, just a capital Y in the chat when I throw some questions up on the screen. And it's just going to help you tap into some of those talents you might have. Some of you might have done this before, but I love to do it. And there's a couple of new questions for some people. So everyone, please jump in. And then when you see the question on the screen, I just want to see a Y, and we'll just go through. There's about 6 or 7 slides, I think. So let's have a look. I want you to raise your hand, put a Y in that chat. If you love to talk to people, elevators, airplanes, grocery stores, wherever you go, give us a Y. So I've got some Ys. Yes. All right. Oh, lots of people do. No no's. You can put a no and N if that's not you. All right, let's go to our next one. Raise your hand if you're always, we did a little skip there. Raise your hand if you always have to make the bed, tidy up the house before you leave. This is a big Y from me. Oh, lots of no's for that one. That's not them.
That's hilarious, isn't it?
Yes.
They're too busy chatting to make their beds.
I wish my bedroom looked like this, Michelle. It's a beautiful shot, that one. That's not mine, by the way.
That is a gorgeous shot, yeah.
I do. I like the timber. All right, let's have a look. Raise your hand if you always have a color-coded or otherwise organized closet. Give me those Ys. If this is you, if this is your walk-in wardrobe. Oh, got some N's. Oh, Tori, I love the Y. I love it. So we've got some strength there. I'd say some talents around organization and structure. Got some more no's. And just to clarify, this is not just a question around women's approach to their wardrobe. I've seen lots of men say, yes, this is me.
That's definitely my partner, but not me.
Okay, you might have the floordrobe versus the wardrobe, Michelle. Okay, raise your hand, give us a Y or an N if you like to have a very planned day. You like that structure, like to be organized, and you bring that to what you do. This is when you're at your best. Oh, I've got some Ys, some Ns. Oh, AJ's a big N. Okay, great. Let's have a look. Next one. Raise your hand if you always. Give us a Y if you need to find someone to race in everything that you do. Oh, Vanessa. I love that. See, that is what I call claiming
clarity.
Strength.
That's
clarity.
Clarity
That's
about
me.
your strength.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm a funny one with this because I'm a mountain bike rider, and if I'm riding with a friend and I'm out in front, I sort of keep the pace. But if they're in front of me, I slow down. It's like, and so I wonder how that shows up in other parts of my life. Only when I'm driving my beast truck. Oh, so AJ, I'm going to build off that. I think it's a lovely point. It's about the context of situations. Again, with our strengths, they can show up in different ways depending on what we're doing. I know that AJ is very much about collaboration over competition, about partnerships. But when she's in that F-150, tell me if I'm wrong, she's queen of the road. Yeah. Those double Ys, those triple Ys, I love those because it's saying, yes, this is me and I love this about me and I love how it helps me be me. So yeah, please keep on giving those as well. All right.
And just so that you know, there's a few more people playing along on the Facebook group, Gillian and Jackie and Mick. So there's a few more people that aren't showing up in this chat.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to have those extra people, because this is a powerful way to think about, right, what makes me me when I'm at my best? Now, I'm going to put a triple Y on this one. Raise your hand if you always like to talk through your ideas. If this is something that you're like, okay, I've got an idea, I want to talk through that. Okay, there's a problem, I want to talk through that.
There's a triple Y there from Sarah.
I like that, yep. So again, this is that insight into what makes you you around when you're at your best. Now I want you to think about, if someone says to you, shh, let's not talk about it. How does that feel? You're not getting a chance to be you. And as we talked about before, our strengths can be our greatest weakness. It might be talking too much. I want to talk through this idea, that idea, that idea, that idea. I've actually got a friend, Michelle, who's got a fantastic superpower of ideation and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
He also owns, I think, 34 domains and has one website. So he's got all these ideas, but he's just got to, bring it in a bit so he can soar.
Yeah, I think some people get a domain addiction and they kind of register every domain that they think, that's fantastic. And they haven't figured out anything beyond that's fantastic. And you know what? Probably some people use them at some point and they go back to them and they're really glad they've done that. Yeah, I know people like that.
Yeah, and I encourage that. I also say sometimes you've got to balance the ideas and the creativity with action as well.
Did you just see that AJ just says, yes, I have over 100 domains?
Well,
I knew you had a lot, but I didn't know you had 100, AJ.
There might be some strategy in there too, Michelle, around buying some domains that are going to be worth, one for every brain idea.
You can say fart, it's all right, on a Zoom.
I'm not real keen on that word, Michelle.
Oh, dear, that's hilarious.
It is. All right. Okay, here we go, everyone. Raise your hand if you always see the potential problems before others. Now, I've seen this show up like a brilliant strength in people where they can see those problems for other people. Oh, Claire, I love, and our Galaxy tab. And we've got lots of whys. It's like, oh, I can see that for other people. I'm tapping into that. And we've had a couple of ends in there as well. So this is where, again, those partnerships might come out, where if someone says, oh, have you thought of this? Their perspective is bringing you value. It's a strength that you don't see and that you want to tap into that and say, okay, what do you mean by that? What could I have missed? Versus, no, I've got it covered. See you later. So I love people really capturing into those. Well, Claire's got, she's 3 of her top 5 strengths are strategic. Oh, so seeing the way forward, seeing those problems, how do we get there? Love it, Claire.
Murray, I live with a lawyer and his mind is entirely focused around what level of risk is involved in everything that goes on. And it's quite fascinating to be on the receiving end of that because it's so different to how I think. And he will come up with this list of risks that wouldn't have even entered my head for about 1 million years. It's quite interesting.
And I assume that person you live with is a partner.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. And this understanding of our partners and the way they see the world, because guess what? The way you see the world is through a lens of your strengths. And so that risk, that management that he's bringing, and Michelle's, I can imagine need to, let's take action, let's move forward. Let's balance those out. Let's feed off each other.
Well, I'm an opportunities girl, not a risks girl. So yeah, it becomes very opposite and it does become a challenge, which I'm sure many people experience in their relationships.
Yeah. Honestly, as I said, have throughout this session been talking about the energy it brings when you tap into your strengths and your superpowers. I would also say, in understanding yourself and your partner deeply is another real benefit. And it's been a language in a way that my wife, Tammy, and I have really understood each other and helped us and in the way that we interact and make each other right, not make each other wrong. So I love Michelle's example there, and I can definitely validate that as well. Now, We've got a couple of whys, I think, from Mina already. So tell me, if you are someone, give us a why. If you see the details that other people don't, if you're I see the typo in the menu. I can see the mistake in your homework to your children. That's me. If you can, you can see that detail pretty quick. So again, this is a superpower you have. This is a strength you have. You want to tap into that in a conscious way. How can that help you in what you're trying to do? Couple of N's, couple of Y's. Just going to move forward so we don't run out of time. The last one. Oh, Danny Lloyd is a definitely awesome. Now, this I reckon is you, Michelle. Raise your hand if you always. Give us a Y if you push the pedestrian crossing button or the lift button, the elevator, more than once, reminded that I am here. Come on, let's go, let's go.
I have been known to do that.
Yeah, not anymore. I use the elbow now, by the way, on the pedestrian crossing.
Or your foot? Have you tried that?
No.
You've got to be very flexible.
Got to get my dog to push it, I think, when we go walking. Yeah, I think that I love Nicole's comment there. LOL, not anymore. Maybe that's in the current way we are living at the moment, but also what I've noticed over years, people, when they start to understand when they're at their best and how they used to show up and how they show up now. Quick story, I was in North Sydney at 9 o'clock in the morning about 18 months ago. And it was one of those situations where everyone's going to work, everyone's walking, where we had like 5 people deep and 10 people wide at the intersection. Pedestrian crossing was red. I walked up, assumed someone's pressed it. Whole bunch of people there. A lady walks up and she's like, you can see she's got her energy. She wants to get to work. She's one of those ladies carrying her high heels, got the joggers on. She's ready to go. She walks up and bang, 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 push it again. Looks left, look right, bang, 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 push it again. And then just before it went to green, she walks out in the street. And then she sort of cut through the traffic that was still pulling up. And then she got to the other side. She actually nearly got hit by a car. And then because she cut the corner, she then had to walk between the parked cars. Mindful at the same time, the whole group of people I was standing with, we'd walked across and caught up to her and then walked across further down the pavement. My insight here is, yes, so she had that energy, she had that activator. I want to get moving, I want to take us forward. But that's, I think, one of those insights of, overplaying that strength, overplaying that superpower could have been just a bit too much for her in that moment.
It's interesting, as you're talking, Murray, it interests me how often our strengths, as you've been talking about them, or our superpowers, get criticised by other people in our lives. And I think that that's a really interesting dynamic because they're not necessarily understood as strengths by everybody else around us, because it's easy for us collectively as humans to be in that place of judging because the other person's not like us.
Michelle, I love that quote from Don Clifton I shared at the very start, which is the power of focusing on what's right with people rather than fixating on what's wrong with them. And if you think about, if you have a strength and someone else doesn't, if you have that superpower and someone else doesn't, if they're coming from a place of lack, a place of fear, a place of making you wrong, that's where that comes across. And I think this beautiful part of tapping into our strengths and tapping into who we are at our best, it helps us, but also helps us understand each other and embrace that.
Very true.
I think it's so powerful and so important.
Very true. I'll just give everyone a heads up. Murray's got about another 5 minutes of the presentation, and then we're going to deal with any questions that you have. So if you have specific questions at this time for Murray, please go ahead and start typing them, not into the chat preferably, but into the question and answer column that's just labelled Q&A. And we'll go ahead and answer those in the next few minutes when Murray wraps up. Thanks, Murray.
Hang on, Michelle. My communication strength is a little triggered here. I thought I had another good 2 hours. What's going on?
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't it be great if it was like that? Wouldn't it be great if there was unlimited time and we could just, have conversations? That would be fantastic.
That would be good. However, I know there's a whole bunch of other fantastic speakers waiting as part of this summit. So I'm looking forward to hearing them speak as well. So might be mindful of the time as well.
So you're happy to listen to others?
Of course I am. I can shut up sometimes. All right. So as we're just exploring what we're just looking at there is these, you might think they're personality traits. You might think they're little idiosyncrasies, or you might think they're things that annoy you or other people find annoying about you. But guess what? These are glimpses of your talents and strengths. If you're someone that pushes the button, you bring the energy, you help things move forward. If you take things forward to teams, you might help influence others. You might help move a project forward. If you're someone that sees the detail, you're someone that can help others see those little bits they're missing and move them forward. If you're someone that sees the problems before others, you're there to help solve those problems, solve those issues, prevent risks, like Michelle talked about her husband. So please, I want you to just think about, yes, we're throwing up those whys, but I want you to think about how that helps you be you and how you could tap into that even more. So very quickly, anyone want to have a quick guess in the chat while we wrap up this session? What's the loudest creature in the ocean?
Ooh.
Oh, come on. What do we got? What do we got? Any comments?
That feels like a trick question.
It always is with me, Michelle. Sarah's given us a whale with a question mark from Claire. Yep, yep. Another couple of seconds. Any thoughts? A boat.
That had to be AJ.
You wait till I see you, AJ. Speedboat. Yeah, well, it's not a creature. So, sorry, we won't accept that one. So a lot of people do think a whale or jellyfish. Vanessa, I love it. A lot of people do think a whale. The answer actually is a little guy called a pistol shrimp. And a pistol shrimp has a big claw. And it's this super claw. And when he cracks that super claw, it makes the loudest noise in the ocean. Check him out, search on Google for the pistol shrimp. Now, the thing is, the pistol shrimp does this super fast click of his claw, and it makes a super loud noise, which scares all the other predators away from him, so he doesn't get eaten. But here's the thing, he does it so super fast and so super loud, he actually does a plasma flash because it's so hot and so fast when he does that, and it scares the predators away. Interestingly though, he's also blind. So he has a partnership with the goby fish. So pistol shrimp guy, pistol shrimp, goby fish, they are partners. They hang out in the ocean together. They work together. Pistol shrimp has that blindness. So he doesn't know when to do his claw when the predators are coming. So what happens is the goby fish will wiggle his tail, let him know, and then he clicks his claw and scares the predators away. The message here is quite often the strengths that we have in ourselves or we see in others, we actually don't know, and we actually can't even see them. It's about unlocking those. And the second thing is, it's also about the partnerships, those partnerships that help us be at our best and working together. I like to think, just to wrap up, also about Batman and Alfred. Batman has a whole range of skills and tools that he's tapped in to be at his best and to unlock his superpowers. And Alfred, over the years, has been I wouldn't say his sidekick. You know, Robin's there for Batman, but Alfred's there to support him, to partner with him, to help him be at his best. What I really encourage you to do is think about who's your Alfred, who's the one that supports you and why. How do you support each other to be at your best, and what does that look like? So, yes, you can do a strengths assessment, but even easier, these are the questions I would love everyone to actually take away with them from this session to help them unlock your strengths. Take the time to reflect, to pause, to journal, to identify what energizes you. What are you doing? What's the task you're doing? What are the conversations you're having? What projects you're working on? And conversely, what procrastinates you? What annoys you? What do you avoid? What do you just keep on delaying? What comes easy to you? What's something that you just go, oh, how did I do that? And how can I do more of that? And it's those moments of rapid learning. What do you really crave to do in your life? And I'm not just talking work, I'm talking all areas of your life, because you can be a superhuman through tapping into your strengths in all areas of your life. When are you in that state of flow where you're energized, you instinctively know what to do next, where time either stands still or goes super fast? What does that look like for you? And lastly, we just talked about partnerships and how powerful they are. I want you to think about, who do you partner with and why? What do you bring to that partnership, or what do they bring to the partnership? So you're going to have a range of partnerships. Now, these questions are really powerful. I want you to ponder those, to journal those, to help you tap into your strengths and how it identifies those opportunities where you could use those more to be at your best.
Boom, boom.
It is time to soar through being your best. And when we try and make people well-rounded, we remove the points off them that make them a star. And stars are on the Captain America shield, my favorite superhero for lots of reasons. And I want you to think about how you can actually not try and be well-rounded, but tap into those strengths to tap into those superhuman powers. Michelle, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you too. And I think you must have done an excessively good job at explaining your topic, because either that or we've dealt with the questions as we've gone along, I think is more likely. So there's just a lot of really good will and people making positive comments about your presentation. So a massive thank you. There is one question actually that's literally just popped up right at the last minute. So let me just jump into there. Okay, and we might just take one question actually and then wrap up, make sure we're tracking on time. So Claire Agnew asked, do you have a story, I would say a short story, about how a partnership worked well for you, how your strengths were complemented? Yeah,
that's a fantastic question. I actually, to be honest, there's a few that I could explain very quickly. One would be, honestly, I've worked over the years with AJ, who is an amazing facilitator and has an amazing approach with clients. And when we work together, I can see how AJ's strengths get to shine and I get for mine to shine, and we feed off each other. So there's different talents that we both bring in that partnership, and that helps us serve the clients we work with. So I'm really proud of that one. And I know it's similar to you, Michelle, with the way you and AJ work together. The other one, very quickly, I would say, is Tammy, my wife, and I. So I have a very strong, methodical way, I would say, of what I see as doing the right thing and that responsibility. And Tammy, my wife, is very much about what's the idea and let's take action on it. And when we create experiences for our children, or a holiday, or an event for people we work with, there's this balance where Tammy's like, I've got an idea, and I go, I'm bringing out my spreadsheet. And then we build off each other to come up with that together.
Yeah, that's a great example. Great example of working well together. Fantastic. And I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go, Michelle. Awesome.
I was just going to say, it's I know a fair amount about Katrina Ruth, who is our next speaker coming up off the back of you. And this is going to set the platform for her, because she talks about exactly what you're talking about, but in a whole different language. She doesn't use the language of strengths. She talks about becoming more of who you already are. That's the kind of theming that she's talking about. So yeah.
And I totally am in alignment with that. I think that is spot on, Michelle, that this is all about not trying to go and create yourself to be Batman or Wonder Woman or someone else. It's about knowing who you are at your core, and those talents and strengths, and then giving you the opportunity to go and use those in what you do. So yeah, beautiful. For anyone stay online for this next session.
Absolutely fantastic. And thanks to everyone who has jumped on and commented. And I'm sure, Murray, you'll be in the group hanging around if people have more questions for you at a later date. And thank you so much. We really appreciate it and got a lot out of that.
Thanks, everyone. That's been awesome. And thanks, everyone, for all your interaction, and look forward to any questions in the group, and hope everyone's happy, healthy, and safe. Thanks, Michelle.
Fantastic. Thanks, Murray.